welcome to another Gramps tutorial. In this episode, we will be looking at creating a backup of our tree and upgrading our Gramps software. Before upgrading, we will take the steps to create a backup for any of our existing family trees created in Gramps in case any errors occur during our upgrade. We will learn how to check which version of Gramps we have installed and see if there are any newer versions available. If there is, we'll see how to install it. We will also learn how to restore a tree from a backup file in case anything becomes corrupted or we're moving our database from one computer to another. Lastly, we will see how to import the example tree that comes with Gramps into your program so that you can explore the many features Gramps has to offer before creating a tree of your own. Let's get started. So the very first thing that we want to do is check to see if there's a newer version of Gramps out there. In order to do that, first I want to see what my current version is. And as we can see from this icon here, my current version is 5.0.1. Now if you don't have this icon or you've renamed it, there's another way we can check. Let's go ahead and open Gramps first of all. Give it a second to load here. Okay, and if we go under Help, we can click on About. And that's going to tell us the version of Gramps we currently have installed. So again, I have version 5.0.1. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close out of Gramps for a minute. And let's pull up the Gramps website. So their address is gramps-project.org. Use your favorite browser to navigate to that page. And let's scroll down a little bit to the bottom. And here we can see the newest releases of the Gramps program here. And so we can see that there is a Gramps 5.1.1 currently as of this video. It was released September 15th, 2019. Okay, so instead of actually clicking here on the name, this is going to take us to like the change log, which is going to list all of the changes and updates to the newest version. If you're interested in it, go ahead and read it. Otherwise, let's go ahead and scroll back up to the top, and we're going to click here on this link that says Download Gramps. Now this is the same thing you probably did when you installed the original version. And if you don't have Gramps currently, you can follow these steps, and this is how you actually install the latest version. If you want more details, though, see my older video, which goes in more detail as far as how to install and uninstall the program. Okay, so once we're on the download page, we want to first of all navigate to which operating system we're using. So in my case, this is Windows 10. So I'm going to go to Microsoft Windows, and you need to choose your installer. I know that my system is 64-bit, so I'm going to download the 64-bit 5.1.1 installer. Alright, it should only take a second. Alright, now before we install, we're going to have to back up our old tree. Now if you don't have an old tree currently in a former version of Gramps, you can skip this step and go ahead. But for everyone else who has a current version of Gramps that is not the most up-to-date, and you're going to be updating to a newer version of Gramps, the first thing you want to do is back up your tree so that we can restore it into the newer version. Alright, so we've got this here. I'm actually going to locate it. In Chrome, we can just click on that arrow and say Show in Folder. Alright, so there's my installation file. So we have that for the future here. Now we can actually exit out of our browser. We don't need this anymore. Alright, so I'm going to open up my Gramps. Now your version may not be exactly the same as mine, and some of these things may not look exactly the same, but the basic steps should be the same. Okay, so mine has opened up one tree for me already, and it's called my example tree. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and back this up just so that you can see how to do it. So the first thing we got to do is we're going to click over here on Family Trees, And if you need to open a different family tree, depending on what you want to back up, you can click here on Manage Family Trees. So as you can see here, I have 2 trees currently in my Gramps program. So we'll actually need to back up both of these before we move on to install the newer version of Gramps. So the one with the folder is indicating that this is the tree that is currently open. So obviously this is just an example. I don't really need to back this one up, but for example's sake, we'll go ahead and do that. So I'll close this for now. And in order to back up our tree, we're going to click again on Family Trees. And down below, about halfway, it says Make Backup. Okay, so we're going to click on that. And it gives us a new dialog window here. So the path is going to be where this backup file gets stored. So right here it says it's going to be my desktop. That's great. I'll be able to find it. If not, and you want to change where it defaults to, you can click this folder right here on the right. And you'll get a lot of different options. You can either quickly get to a documents folder, downloads, pictures, wherever you want to store it. I'm going to keep it at desktop. All right. So apply. I didn't really have to do that, but you can see how it's done. All right, so this is going to be the name of the file. I'm not going to change it. It's fine. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to get rid of it again once we restore the backup. Now, there's also the option here for media. Okay, so you can either include the media that is attached to the current tree, or you can exclude it. Now, I'm going to keep it as exclude because I keep all of my files in a separate folder, and once I restore my backup, I'm just going to repoint the database to that folder. So there's no moving of files in that sense. Now, if you wanted to back up your tree in order to maybe, say, move it to a different computer or something like that, you might want to include your media. That way, all of your pictures or, whatever, your PDFs, whatever you've got stored in your database here, it'll come with it, okay? But I don't need to do that. So I just want the database itself as far as, the relationships and all that type of stuff and all of the people, events, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I don't need any media. And depending on the size of your tree, this may take a little while. For me, obviously, it didn't take too long. Okay, so I got to do this again because I have 2 trees, and you'll want to repeat this step for however many trees you have. So again, Family Trees, Manage Family Trees. Okay, I'm going to select the next one. Load Family Tree. This will make your current tree the one that you just selected. Okay, and then we can tell that it changed because the name up here on the top left changed. Otherwise, there's no real indication that anything changed. All right, so again, Family Trees, Make Backup. It's going to go to my desktop. That's great. Here's the file name. Change it if you'd like. I don't need to include my media. As you can see, the media is a little bit larger here. Still not too big, but obviously if you have a huge tree, it's going to take a lot longer to include your media. I'm going to exclude because I will just repoint to the folder once we're in the new version. So I'll say okay. All right, so we have our backups now. And that is all we need to do. So we can actually close out of this window. All right, so we've got here on my desktop, we've got example tree, and we've got my Hoffman Fox tree. All right, so let's pull up the installation file now. As you remember, I opened up the folder here, so I had it for the future. If you need to go find it, obviously it's going to be wherever your installation file defaults to, or wherever you told it to. So you may have to go back and find it again, or if you can't find it, you can always download it again. All right, so here's mine. So let's go ahead and double click. All right, yes, we want to allow it to make changes. All right, and here's our installation setup. And this is the same thing you're going to see whether it's a new installation or an upgrade. So let's go ahead and say next. And you will want to read the license agreement and agree. All right, and you can choose whatever you like. I always say install for anyone using this computer. It really doesn't matter for me, but do whatever is best for you. All right, and we've got some translations. If you need a different translation, there's lots of different ones. I'll keep English, and dictionaries as well. There's lots of different choices here. Let's say I'll use the US one since we are in the US here. Let's see. All right, looks good. Okay, so next. All right, and here's where it's going to install. Now you can change it if you want. I always kind of leave it the way it is. Alrighty, looks good. So install. Now you will want to look and see, keep in mind where you just installed it, because I'll show you how to include the example tree in case this is your first installation and you don't have a tree, or if you just want to have a tree to kind of play around with and look at some of the other features. At the very end of this video, I'll show you how to get this example tree, which I've backed up, but it actually comes in the installation. So let's just take a minute here. Depending on your computer, it may take a little bit longer or maybe faster, just depending on your speed. So once this is done, it should put an icon on our desktop, which we can open up Gramps with. And then we're going to go ahead and restore those backups. All right, so there's my icon there, Gramps 5.1.1. Don't open it yet until we're completely finished here. Okay. All right, so once it says next here, we can click that, it means it's done. Here it also says complete. All right, so if we click on next, all right, so it's been installed on my computer. Click finish to close setup. If you want Gramps to run as soon as you click close, just make sure that box is checked. And we do, because we want to add our backups now. So we'll say finish. Okay, so as you can see, Gramps actually pulled in my databases, and I had no problem. Everything worked fine, and I was ready to get started again. However, if something does happen and we need to use our backups, I want to go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, so I actually went ahead and deleted our example tree. So if you need to import your tree, okay, first of all, you want to manage your family trees. So as you can see, my Hoffman Fox one is here. My other one has been deleted. We can pretend it got corrupted or something for whatever reason. So I want to restore that one from my backup. Okay, so we will click on new. Okay, and we will name our family tree. So example tree. Okay, now as you can see, the database type actually changed on mine, okay? And Gramps is actually currently using SQLite now for their database type, so you may want to convert the rest of yours over, just because eventually they may drop support for the other trees. So in order to do that, all you would do is click on whichever tree is not. You got to close it first, and then you would just click on convert, and it'll actually create a new file here. Do I wish to convert the family into a SQL database? I would go ahead and convert them. Be sure you have a backup just in case anything happens. But there, as you can see, it went ahead and converted it, and it created a new tree there. So you still have the old one if you need it, but you also have the new one. Okay, so back to what we were doing before, though. So to load our backup. All right, so we've got our example tree. All right, let's go ahead and load it. Obviously, it's going to be an empty tree here. So what we want to do here is go to family trees. And like before, we clicked make backup. Instead, this time we're going to click on import. Right, and we're going to actually import the backup we made. So again, this is on my desktop, which is where I saved it. Find your file. It should end in .gramps for a backup file here. All right, so here's our example tree. and then I'll just go ahead and click on import. And down here bottom left, there is a status bar showing the progress. So we just go ahead and wait a second for that to happen. Depending on the size of your tree, obviously, it will take longer or less time, just depending. All right, so here's our statistics. Everything looks okay. Again, it reminds you here, the media objects with relative paths have been imported. So basically what that's saying is they're pointing to somewhere on my computer. So if it's not working, you just need to repoint the media. So I mean, we can check. We can go to media, and we can click on them. So okay, it's not working right now, and that's because I moved the example folder before I imported. So it's very easy to fix. Just make sure the tree's open, and then what we do is go to Edit, Preferences, and right here under the General tab, which is what it opens to, Base Path for Relative Media Paths. All right, so this is just saying where's your root folder for all your media. Okay, so mine actually has been moved now. I put it on my desktop, so you can either just change the path here. I know that if I just take out that one, it'll work, but I'll go ahead and do the folder. So we can click on the folder and locate it, and it's on my desktop. All right, example tree and Gramps. So here are the media files that are in the example tree. So just go ahead and say apply once you found the folder and close. It won't update immediately. You have to actually select someone else in order for it to refresh. So click on there. All right, it looks like it's working now. There we go. So all the media is now working. Okay, now if you want to be able to play with this example tree as well, it actually in some shape or form uses all the features that comes with Gramps. So it's a great tool in order just to play around and you know, get some ideas as far as how did the example tree get put together, and what works, what doesn't. Maybe see some things that you didn't know were possible. Get some ideas, things like that. So I want to show you how to do that. So if you remember before, I said remember where you installed your Gramps. And that's because every version of Gramps actually comes with the example tree. You just may not know it. So we will go ahead and create a new tree, and we're going to use the example tree that came with Gramps. So first of all, let's manage. We're going to create a new one, and let's just call it, I'll just leave it as family tree 1 for now. Okay, so let's load this family tree. Okay, so here we go. We've got an empty tree now, and what we can actually do is we can just import. You could go in your files and find this folder. I'm just going to go ahead and import it for this time. So if we go to import, right down here there's a Gramps folder with your current installation. That'll take you straight to it. So go ahead and click on that. And we want to scroll down until we see the folder called Share. So open that. All right, now we want to open up the folder called Doc. And then there's another folder called Gramps. All right, and then here is where we find a folder named Example. Okay, one more step, we've got to go into the Gramps folder again. All right, and here's the same folder that you just saw a second ago. So we want to find the one called example.gramps. So we're right here. And then we're going to import. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.